The important messages for me that come out of it is that policymakers have to be informed by research, and somehow you have to make those kinds of connections. And in order for the research to inform people's livelihoods and safety. There's this very strong link between water and food safety that you have highlighted, and I think that that's exactly what we needed. I'm going to take some questions, but before I open the floor, let me ask you. You say that we need more capacity for risk assessment and that this must change. So you're training students to be able to do risk assessments. At what level can they do such risk assessment? And I actually want to ask about, don't we need armies of people who can do this? And
Yeah.
can't you get the departments of agriculture involved in risk assessment? Does it have to be postgraduates who are trained in risk assessment?
So this is a very important question. Yes, we need armies of people in the African continent. And yes, we can use risk assessors in Europe or the US. And in fact, that's what I did. I sent my one PhD student through a Commonwealth grant to the US to go and work in a risk assessment laboratory. But that's one person. I mean, we have so many challenges. So what's very important is that we need to fast track. So yes, you train them and they have to have a very good sound background in microbiology and just, you have to take them through the science pathway. And then you make them focus and specialize. So they need to understand, first of all, this whole nexus. And if they don't have that, you're not going to get a good risk assessor. So once you have people at that level, you can then further train them. So that's why going through PhDs are brilliant. But you can also bring out specialized training just for risk assessors. And that's a training we did through FAO, where we actually invited Department of Health, Agriculture, some of our regulatory agencies. We invited all of them to this week-long training session. But we need more. And you need people that's dedicated. And it has to become a priority for the government. And yes, the ARC can step in, but we really have a lot to do. And it's not only South Africa, it's the whole of Africa.
Yes, indeed. Then I just want to point out that this work that you've been doing with the Water Research Commission is key. And since this is a forum for science councils and statutory bodies, this is indeed a very relevant part of what the science councils are doing. And I'm pleased to hear about that kind of work. I mean, one hears every so often about the important work that's being done in water. We'll be having more about that tomorrow, in fact, with our keynote address then. But in the meantime, let's get some questions. In the Q&A, we have Busisiwe Aland. Congratulations to you and your team for having made outstanding contributions to advancing food safety in South Africa through diagnostics, training, and leadership. However, what gaps remain in addressing the informal sector's unique challenges, particularly around vendor training, infrastructure access, and culturally embedded safety practices?
Yeah, that's very important. I always say, we tend to just put plasters on things. We need to go back. It's almost like a root cause analysis. Our water should not be contaminated. I mean, really, we should really not contaminate our water. Whether you have a processing plant or a big commercial poultry facility, it's your responsibility. And then the municipalities, nobody wants to talk about it, but really, we cannot continue allowing untreated waste going into our rivers. Municipal waste water should be managed. So let's take a step back and let's take our responsibilities, and each and every one has a responsibility. Let's not point fingers. So if we start there and then we say, okay, and now we have to go and clean up our rivers and fix it. But we can't expect small-scale farmers now to go and clean up the rivers and put expensive water filtration systems in. A commercial farm can. And yes, they do have systems in place, but let's not pollute good, clean water. If you got borehole water, keep it separate. It always amazes me when I get to a big commercial farm and they pump water from the river, put it in a holding dam, and then they have borehole water added to it. Don't mix it. Keep it separate. clean water is clean and use it clean. Don't mix it and dilute. Don't try and dilute contaminated water. So take your responsibility and look after your water. And then secondly, help the small guys, help the small farmers. And there is now a lot of technologies to filter the water. A lot of people's working in that space. We've done some research, and I know there's some companies, but it's got a cost factor. And then if you talk about the infrastructure, the small scale traders who's selling the fresh produce, yes, they do need training, awareness. And yes, there is a cultural aspect around the training, and there is the indigenous knowledge. People know how to keep food actually safe and clean, but they're not empowered. They don't have clean water, and they don't have a proper facility where they can sell their produce. And then there's no waste removal. So, of course, you're going to get rats and cockroaches being attracted. So we have to work together. And we need to ensure that these people have access to clean water and at least electricity or a facility where they can sell their produce with pride and dignity. So it's all of our responsibility. So I think that's, to me, the gaps is let's work together. And we don't have a framework at the moment. And that, to me, is the biggest gap. If we can all get around the table and start working together and take responsibility.
Right. Anonymous attendee asks a question that is related. Thank you, it is interesting, but what can we do immediately to filter the water that these poor people who are growing food with polluted water? Is there not a potable gravity-fed filtration system? Portable.
Yes, there's a lot of new filtration systems that's very affordable. One of our master students developed with Moringa sand filters that you can actually maintain and manage yourself. That's really affordable. And I know there's several companies that's really now focusing on really affordable filtration systems that you can put into your water. It's happening. It's available, increasingly available. And I want to say that a lot of your provincial departments of agriculture, like GDOT, they're doing incredible work, the government, Gauteng Department of Agriculture. And they are helping, and our information is going to those small-scale farmers, and we are helping them in training and also to enable them to have access to water filtration systems. And it has to be a priority. And we've looked at projects such as roof harvesting water, and also how to best practices to manage roof harvested water in those tanks, because you can't just harvest water from your roofs. If you have birds sitting on the roofs, and then you're going to have bird poo and E. coli, and here we go, back into our cycle of contamination. So it's about developing these best practices and to ensure that we do education and awareness and work together.
Thank you. Patience Mpumbude says, can the university work with municipalities, for example, Tshwane, in treating rivers such as the Henops River? It is really looking bad this morning in Centurion.
Yes, I'm very glad that question comes out because we want to work with, especially Tshwane, and we've just got a big UCRI fund, and we work, of course, with the Medical Research Council. So we've got funding from now for the next 5 years to actually start monitoring these rivers. And funny enough, Henops River is one of them that we're going to monitor. And I know when my students come back from sampling those rivers, they smell. It smells great. And we are starting at the source of origin, and we're now monitoring it. We're going to monitor it for 2 years. And we are working with other scientists, brilliant scientists that's at Stellenbosch University, Cape Town, KwaZulu-Natal, and they've shared information of water sources and data. We're bringing in some of the chemists to look at the heavy metals, chemical contamination, and then we'll do the microbiology. So we are working also with small-scale farmers and commercial farmers. We've just done ethical clearance for these projects. But I know we've got problems. And yes, I know that Henops smells, and it's a problem.
Okay. Thank you. The anonymous attendee says, thank you very much for an excellent presentation. What recommendations would you make to the Department of Basic Education with regards to incorporating water management and the other topics you mentioned into the school curriculum? Do you believe it's worthwhile to educate school children about these issues? I know this question may be out of your domain. I don't think so. I think that you can give us a good idea there.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad someone's asked that question. So we had a project looking at the school feeding programs. It was actually another master's student of mine. She's now finished a PhD also, but on risk assessment. But she did the school feeding scheme, and we looked at school gardens. And then we looked at the fresh produce that's delivered at the school gardens, and then the food they prepare, and then that they serve to the students. And then we looked at water harvest. Schools are using also roof harvested water, and we looked at the quality of that water. And then we looked at the municipal water that they had to irrigate and to use in the school grounds. And we did look at the curriculum and what is being done in terms of food safety. But what we never did was look at actually the whole issue around water. And that's a brilliant idea, because we must bring it into our school curriculum. Let every child understand the importance of managing water. It's a privilege to have clean water, and we should all take responsibility to keep it clean. And that should go into the school curriculum. I never thought of the building it with the food safety and showing children that link between, if the water is clean, your food is a better chance to be clean, and that you have to take responsibility for the water and the food and the soil.
Fantastic, thank you. Klaumar Ramaru says there are various tools on climate change risk assessments that we can engage you on. DFFE is working on climate scenario development and impact modeling, which will prioritize water and agriculture. Do you have any work done on impact modeling for the water and agriculture, I think, department?
Yeah, in fact, no. But this PhD student, Tabang, that we have, and she's now moving into impact modeling. And this is now, I think, where we need to create this whole wave of young people that we can put into these and connect with different disciplines and work across different government departments. And yes, she will go into impact modeling. That's part of a postdoctoral project that she will go into. And I believe that we need to train more people. And what we should perhaps do at the moment is try and link internationally with top scientists there, and let to fast track our students, maybe send them out, bring them back, and plug them into our different government departments, and let them help us. There's so much to do. You can train students and you can pump out publications. If you have enough money, you can do it, and we can create data. But we need that financial support, and we can do it.
Prof Korsten, we've run out of time, alas. Thank you very much indeed for this wonderful presentation, and your enlightening thoughts and your thoughtful answers to the questions from the audience. I think that they've got a very good deal, actually. Thank you very much. And if you're welcome to stay tuned in, of course.
Sure.
But we know that you've got important work to do, so you're welcome to be released as well. Thank you. Bye.